everybody. Welcome back to Crypto Talks and our TA Monday. Woo! Let's go.
Hello. Let's go.
Yay! And now Rob is actually back for TA Monday. I think last week you were not.
I was
Why?
not.
You went in for at least the Friday night hangout that we kind of started because you were gone and I was bored. I really wanted to do things. So
yeah.
there is that.
Mm-hmm.
Right, and I see that the chat is being spammed, and people are wondering where everybody is, and I agree. Where is everybody? Hello? No, but seriously, last time we streamed on Friday. The market was doing things, which means people need information, so they go and watch people talk about the things that they're wondering about. And today is looking retesty, or whatever you want to call that.
Retesty is a good word for it, I think.
Yes, and hi Ekan, hi Dave. I wonder if we should.
Yes,
we're gonna dive in right away. Yes, yes. Here's the chart, everybody. The sideways moving Bitcoin chart that we've been predicting since what did we say?
Forever.
Yeah, we were talking in Discord before this, and we agreed that we predicted this sideways kind of get stuck and be boring type thing back in, I think it was June of 2023, that we would get stuck here at this price and kind of move sideways for a while. Didn't expect it to be this long, to be honest. I thought it would be, or actually, I didn't expect it to be this much sideways in such a wide range.
Yeah,
but hey, can't predict everything to the T.
No, and this is the problem that exponential assets have, is in that it pulls back 20%, or in the case of altcoins, some of them 30 or 40%, and they're still in an uptrend.
Yeah,
I think Bitcoin's probably a fairly poor example here. Solana's much closer. I think maybe just pull that up to show we warned of this, very, very clearly warned of this. Altcoins are volatile. Solana, as I said, I've been accumulating Solana quite heavily through March, mostly February and March, mostly using coin futures. So I'm kind of using my Solana to get more Solana. So I'm not buying Solana, but it was very much, I'm looking at it now at a price point where I'm saying, I want more of this. And yeah, that price point was high, but I tried to get the low end as much as I could, sort of in the 160s, 170s. And then it got down to the 120s, 130s. So I bought an absolute dump ton more. Solana is now more of my portfolio than anything except Bitcoin. And I know it has been for you for a while. Welcome to the club. Yeah, but exactly.
Finally.
But see, that was it. This was always within my thesis. My plan was always ride Bitcoin, majority Bitcoin to all-time high, and then you reassess. You look at the landscape and go, okay, now let's see what's moving. And the market has provided a very, very clear buying opportunity. If you think this bull run's over and we're all and Solana's heading back to, say, I don't know, $50, then yeah, you sit there and wait. I ain't waiting. This is now, where are we at from top to bottom? Is getting on close to 40% on Solana?
I think we bottomed out at a 38%. Maybe I could be wrong. I didn't.
Well,
it's way more than that. 43. Yeah.
So I mean, this isn't a bear market. I'm not looking for 70-80% corrections on market leaders. 40% on Solana is hefty in a bull run.
That is a bargain. If you caught a buy order at what was it, 119, I think, 120,
121.
That is a good buy.
Yeah, I mean, I will point out, just for clarification, yes, I did enter a massive sold position at 121. I did get wiped out twice before that on the way down. So, yeah, basically,
you got stopped out. You didn't get wiped out.
Not wiped out. I got stopped out and lost more than I wanted to lose. But this was within, say, this is how I'm wanting to trade. This is
your stops got hit, which means it was within your risk management, which means your plan worked.
Yes and
no.
It did. It did. I broke my own fundamental rules in that I was levered long while I didn't have cash. That was my problem. So
Right.
I was buying spot during the dips, and because of that, I should have gone right. I've bought no more leverage. And I should have waited until we got a very obvious leverage buying opportunity that made me want to take risk when I didn't have cash. What I was doing was taking risk after I'd already bought my position. And even within that, I've mostly bought Bitcoin and Sol. Sol, I'm happy to hold for the long term. Bitcoin's still above where I bought. I bought down at 61 and 63 on the previous dip, and I'm still holding that position. This is a retest. The altcoins have been absolutely wiped, but Bitcoin hasn't. Does it feel like a bear market in any way? No, this is just an overzealous market, and particularly on altcoins, people feeling bulletproof that have just started leverage trading, that have seen this massive run, made an absolute load of profit. So what do? They start levering as it goes down, and the market will punish that. And we kind of were talking about this over the weekend, last week, before the drop, that funding rates are kind of high. We mentioned funding rates a couple of times, or numerous times, in that we want to see this period of continuous negative funding rates, and we didn't get it, and now we're starting to get it. So that is evidence that the market sentiment is starting to turn. And overall, when you've got a negative market sentiment and on a chart that looks this good, because people can say this is a bearish, this is a downtrend. It was a short-term downtrend. Now we're just ranging.
Yes. So
there may be another flush down. I would expect that flush down to be very aggressively bought and be the catalyst for a new uptrend. So I welcome another flush.
Yeah. Well, so what's happened, since this isn't a very beautiful trend line or anything like that, but it's basically candle close and candle wick on Bitcoin, and it's quite literally hit that together with double bottoming here, right? And so it didn't fail this. I mean, if it would have broken down through this double bottom, and it can still trend down and kind of crack through it, but like, honestly, I don't really see it, because we had this big flush, right? Most of the long leveraged positions are gone. So you've seen people building their longs throughout here, or throughout this slowdown. Some of them got liquidated here. Some people got liquidated during this that they built up. Everyone who built up a long around this area right here, they got liquidated out through this dump. And now it's kind of cleared again. Halving is just around the corner. We've got 4 days, 7 hours, 13 minutes left, give or take, until the halving, which is this line right here. I mean, I don't think the halving is going to have much of an impact, personally, especially not instantly. Over time, yes, but it's one of those sentiment things. Is this going to be a sell the news event? Who knows? Maybe we want to be pushed down to this trend line. I mean,
I feel like we've had the sell the news event.
Yeah, I think so too, right?
Every single halving we get, the halving's coming up, it's going to become more scarce, it's going to start a new bull run, it's going to do this, and then the halving happens, and guess what? The Bitcoin that you weren't buying from miners, you're still not buying from miners.
Yeah.
There are people who buy Bitcoin from miners, and
they're called exchanges.
Or the ETFs or whatever, and all that's going to happen is that 450 Bitcoin per day are now going to have to be found from somewhere else.
Right.
Assuming there is demand for them, they have to come from the open market. And so over time, that is then a function of how much demand there is for that. And what that just turns this gradient, it turns a gradient from this into this. It just steepens it slightly. And so, we expect that this price, this halving, adds a step change to the value over 4 years. But on day one, it does not make a difference. Like, just be aware of that. Like, the halving means nothing if nobody's buying Bitcoin. The halving means nothing if 10,000 Bitcoin a day are being sucked off the supply, because well, what's 450 out of 10,000? It's just going to make things faster.
Nothing.
Yeah.
And on top of that, now we have Hong Kong basically opening up a
far more important
yes.
on a short-term basis, because say this, you got to consider this with the ETFs, is that there was an awful lot of initial allocation. Anybody who wanted to allocate to that ETF will have jumped in straight away. Now we're into the monthly contributions, where people take their salaries and put it in. Yes, there's still going to be people trading it and moving in and out of these funds, but really it's like, well, they can use spot Bitcoin, they can use the CME futures. There's a whole load of tools if they want to trade Bitcoin. They don't have to use the ETFs. If they are sort of people who have to use these sophisticated platforms because they're institutional investors or whatever, then yeah, great, they add volume adds price, but it doesn't mean it has to be by volume. It doesn't mean they have to be holders. It doesn't mean anything. All it means is that month after month, people are going to get a paycheck, and a portion of that is going to go into buy Bitcoin, which gets sucked off the market and then probably never sees the light of day again, which is excellent long term. But a new ETF opening, immediate volume. So that's another rush of volume in, and likely another leg up. And the same sort of behavior again.
Yeah, and I don't remember exactly when it's going to be tradable. I think today is the day when they basically officially
they just said
say,
in April. That's all I've seen. Is
I think it's going to be like a week or two before it actually opens up. They've been, they've gotten the thumbs up to do it, and now they're doing it. But I just noticed something that I forgot from before, and it's this white line right here. I don't know if you can see that. Maybe I'll
thicken it up.
I'll thicken it up. There we go. That one. Oh, that didn't make a difference, but whatever. You can still see it. This is the monthly close from the previous all-time high back here. And that kind of, I like that, right? Because it's quite literally where we slow down first, got some liquidations to it, bounce, and then bounce again.
Maybe zoom into the hourly, see if it played with it actually a bit more happily.
I don't think it did.
Don't know.
Well, sort of.
Definitely. That I'd say that counts. Definitely.
Yeah. So, oh God. Okay. Right. So that's a nice little line to have.
Your boy sees prices. He knows. As soon as I saw that 61.3, that'd been played with.
That's definitely been played with. But okay, let's get into some shorter term Bitcoin stuff here.
I will just point out, just to go back to the Hong Kong ETF before we move on. We don't know yet, but let's see who is actually available to use and purchase this ETF and who has access to it. And I don't expect that everyday Joe Blogs Chinese citizen is going to be putting their paycheck into this in the way that they may be doing with the US ones. So this will be, I would assume, largely only available to institutional investors, and let's see how much control they really have over what they do with that Bitcoin. Maybe this is I would wager, is an argument, is this a sort of proxy for the Chinese government to actually get hold of Bitcoin?
Maybe.
It'd be a very logical thing if Chinese national companies start to put Bitcoin on their balance sheet via this ETF, and eventually they use that to offset the horrific state of their debt and currency issues.
That would be nice.
If I had a brain and I was Chinese and in government, then I would be probably doing that exact thing. So
the question is, do the politicians have brains or not?
Well, does Xi Jinping? It's an assumption that anybody else has any brain in the Chinese government, unfortunately. Not that they don't have a brain, but whether or not they're allowed to use it. Sorry.
Right. Well, okay. So let's just have a look at this for a little bit. So we had this trend line, bounce. That's fun. That's all good and dandy. So let's take a look at these liquidations. I'm going to go to the 4 hourly first and turn on the Bollinger. This is what I think kind of failed, personally. That's kind of where the first real retest
it definitely
was.
did.
Yeah, I mean, you've got the wick right on it, then you have a candle closer just below it, and then another one just below it. I mean, it opened right below it still, and just it tried twice, but yeah, it didn't work out. So this is where we get that kind of, you can see that a lot of the times, like right here, we bottomed, and then we kind of went and tested something, and then we came up, and same thing here, bottomed out. This one actually broke. But a lot of bottoming wicks down here, and then it kind of moved along. So I'm expecting to see something like that right here on Bitcoin. I think it's going to be the same on everything else. Looking at the 1 hourly, obviously it doesn't really play on the 1 hour. It did once here, but other than that, it's kind of like just doing its own thing here.
Yeah.
And I think we did pull a line here, didn't we? When we were talking, we pulled it from this because this one down here is a liquidity wick. And now it doesn't line up anymore. That's weird. Oh, maybe it was the 4 hourly actually. Yes, it probably was like that. So that's kind of playing out now, I guess. And we'll see if it holds that. Otherwise, yeah, it might wanna retry 61.3 again. I'm not sure actually.
Yeah, could do.
It could do. But what we're looking for is the slowdown of the trend, right? So here it's going pretty fast, right? But now it's kind of doing that, straight down and then kind of slow down type thing, where it flattens out and then it wants to turn. And that's not always what happens, but slow down. This one's kind of immediate, but we still had that retest there, or lower high.
Solana 136.
Solana currently just broke through that trend, and now it's retesting this line right there. I think that means my limit order just hit. But yes, I hope. I'm gonna check just for the sake of fun, right? If I was right, it should be hitting. I don't need to check that. That should hit it. Back to Bitcoin. So now I hope we're catching this live right now, actually. Now that it's making kind of an aggressive move, sorta kinda. And we'll see how this plays out. But yeah, this is a new trend. It's still an uptrend because we haven't, yes, it hasn't really given us a real, secondary bottom yet. And this is what I keep saying. I could definitely see it retesting this area down here. That will scare some people out before it keeps going. It tends to do that. You see the same thing here, right? Big wick, come down, retest, and then go. Much shorter time frame, of course, but it's kind of the same thing the whole time. Every time there's especially here, right? Gets people back in, takes them out. People stop, close their positions, and then we restart the whole process again. And yeah, we might be seeing that now. We shall have to wait and see. But overall, RSI not really oversold right now, but it was on the hourly.
Yeah, the daily
on the
did
4 hourly.
At the bottom. It did hit oversold on the daily. I think
on
both
Solana.
on Solana. I'm not sure about on Bitcoin. It didn't.
No, it didn't.
Did it on the wick right at the bottom? It did hit, but then
I don't think it did on Bitcoin, to be honest, because that's
no. But say Solana did.
And Solana did, yeah.
And all the 4 hours, they all went oversold, and I like the 4 hour oversold, especially in a bull market. I don't like to wait for the daily. So
yeah, and I agree with that, because like if you look at, let's take Solana for example. If you look at the daily RSI, just looking at the RSI here, during these sideways moves, you're getting on the daily, you're getting these oversold territory on the RSI. And then once you start moving into this exponential type thing, you never really get to the, you hover around 40 at max, when you're dipping down. And this time, it went pretty deep. It's rare, which is why this is a really good buying opportunity. Overall, if you're looking at the RSI alone, it's like,
I just bought some Polygon.
Okay.
Just laugh. Just.
Well, so then if you zoom in then during this exponential move up here on Solana on the 4-hourly instead, then you're getting these oversold ones on the 4-hourly instead, where you got some really good opportunities right here, right there, and right now it's like deep under. It doesn't mean that it can't carry on down. Like, it's not that. It's just
technical analysis, trading, it's all about probability. Yes, it can carry on down. What's the probability that it carries on down? We just had a very deep correction after we had a massive run up, we had a rejection, we had a retest, we've had a downtrend that's now had a big capitulation and a huge wipeout of longs. And now we're in a position where the market is telling us that sentiment is flipping short. So when you see people flip short after a big downtrend, that is very often a contrarian signal. It's a very reliable contrarian signal. And on that sense, and I realize that I sit here with both of us, regular leverage traders that both talk about our losses, but if you, at this point, if you're not an experienced person, if you just sit in spot and wait it out, and if it takes another leg lower and you have to wait 2 months before your position's in profit, so what? That means that you've got another month next month to make another purchase at a cheaper price. Enjoy cheap prices in bull markets. And yeah, if you don't know what you're doing, just stick away from leverage. And then your risk, if you're in, I won't say your risk is zero, because of course, whatever risk of the market, risk of investing. But if you believe in what you're buying, if you're buying Bitcoin with a 10-year time horizon, then the risk of buying today is zero. You're not buying for today's prices or tomorrow's prices or next week's prices. So when there's a pullback, if you're scared, if you're worried, just stick it away. Like I said, go on holiday, enjoy yourself. Go and just don't worry about this dip. Like, enjoy it.
This is something
don't be scared of it.
This is something we keep telling people all the time. If you're starting out, and I don't know how many times I've said this, but I'm going to repeat myself anyway until people understand this. You can't get into a market as a newbie and think you're going to trade your way to success. You're not going to do that. You're going to get wrecked. I mean, look at these liquidations. You think these liquidations were noobs or professionals getting liquidated? No. It's like, these are all these fairly decent traders and or fairly profitable traders or noobs that are just like, oh, okay, I'm gonna start buying in here, and they see small dips and they keep building the position and then they don't have the know-how to put their stop losses in or have enough cash on hand to kind of hold the position up if it goes really bad. We've failed on that. Everybody fails on that, but it's like these liquidations don't occur because people have good risk management. This is proof of bad risk management. Like, I'm sorry, it just is. This is what happens.
It is, and say, I had some bad risk management on my Litecoin position. It got liquidated during the drop. Now, within that risk management, it was a very small position. That's why I hadn't bothered putting a stop on it. But I put two Litecoin in. I think I made 4 Litecoin profit. I took the 2 Litecoin out, so I had 4 free Litecoin, and I ended up losing it because I didn't pay attention. So, silly me, but not the end of the world. I made sure that my important positions were covered. And within that, if you're invested in 20, 30 coins, for starters, don't be invested in 20, 30 coins. I say this as somebody invested in 20 or 30 coins. But yeah, you can't, it's impossible for you to manage these positions simultaneously. Similarly, you can't buy the dip on everything. So like right now, I've just looked at it and I've just bought the dip on Polygon here. Like I've got a stop on that. I've got my invalidation for it. My Solana position is also in need of wanting to be added to, but I don't have the money to add to both right now. So I'm just going to prioritize Polygon. I'm going to let the Solana one ride for a little bit. If I get an out if Polygon gets stopped out, I'll reassess and look at it and go, okay, maybe Solana's now the better buy. Like, you can stay fluid and stay nimble if you are a trader, and don't commit yourself to, I need to do this and I need to play this out. Like, if shit's going wrong and you don't trust the position, at the very least, just deleverage. Don't be scared of taking a little bit off the table, because things can go down very far sometimes.
Yeah, and so I'm just pulling some fibs here right now. This is on Bitcoin. Pulling it from here to here, just to see where we're sitting right now. So it's tried this, failed it. It's falling down to this one right now. If this one fails, in fib land, we're going back down here. But doesn't necessarily mean that we're definitely doing that.
Yeah.
Solana has kind of the same thing. It has not reached the
See, Solana is doing, in fact, if you just maybe pop my screen on a second.
Yeah.
So
it's kind of bouncing on that now, but let's see. Yeah. All right, add it to stage. Oh gosh.
No, this is great. I'll just get rid of the RSIs. So this is Bitcoin, Ethereum, Polygon, and Solana all together. And I've been looking at these together. Well, actually, normally I'd have the total market cap on, but I've got a Polygon position. And what is very good to see is when you can see sort of confluence across the same things at the same times. And see, it's just, you can see here we've failed uptrends on Polygon here, on Solana. Like, they're all doing the same thing, whereby they've had this touch and now they're breaking down. So when you see the same thing doing across the board, not too zoomed out. Yeah, when you start seeing these breakdowns, it's like, okay, yeah, that's not good. But at the same time, when you've got things like this, and say straight away, I'm seeing this, and I'm seeing this very clear bottom. We just wicked below it, and I was hoping to have drawn that line before we wicked, because I was going to say that, as we mentioned on Friday, and this brilliant piece of advice, where to place your buy order, where everybody else is placing their stops. Everybody else has their stops all placed at the same bit right underneath this swing low. So what's Polygon just done? It's just gone and wicked and grabbed that liquidity. If we see this happening, we're seeing this happening here. So again, exactly the same behavior. Bitcoin's just come along, swept that liquidity. ETH has come along here and actually had a very big drop, but swept that liquidity. And Solana's doing exactly the same thing. So I'd say it's pretty likely that it's going to bounce around here, simply because what I'm seeing, it looks to me just like a liquidity sweep.
Yeah,
but
just nicely.
But that doesn't mean it can't fail and carry on down. I might be wrong here, but based on the behavior that I've seen since the big drop, it's very typical behavior. You see stops continually being taken out, and here is a perfect example. And people will say it's a downtrend, because they go, oh yeah, this you have your uptrend, and then there you go, stops hit, and then stops hit, and then stops hit, and then stops hit, and then everyone rises. It gets a bit no, stops hit, and then we gigapump. So like five times, 6 times here within the space of 18 hours, the market just went hunting for stops. And it was still an uptrend. There was no point where this was like, oh, I'm suddenly going to start going down, because across the whole market, you see exactly the same thing. On Ethereum actually looked quite a bit more bullish, in that it kind of maintained this uptrend while Bitcoin was going down. But it was still did the same. It still had this liquidity V, and now it's just doing the same thing again. And it's going to keep hunting until it finds the liquidity. And I think it was Dave mentioned in the Discord before, because when you put up the liquidity map, and the long liquidations have started to come back in. So he's like, okay, so now we can go down again. It's like, yeah, we can. In in hunt of these buys. People want to load their bags. The best way to load the bags, ironically, is to dump the price, because if you just buy into a pump and you buy when everyone else is buying, there's no sellers. If you want to trade a large position, if you're a big trader, you need to get other people to sell into you, and the way you do that is by triggering stops. So people say it's market manipulation. It's not. It's just people with a lot of money who know what the fuck they're doing. And yeah, you're trading against them. And we mentioned it on Friday, swim in their wake. And the easiest way to swim in their wake is just to look and wait for liquidations to happen. You just look for the level, you look for a rapid drop down with high volume into that zone, and then you look for a V shape. And not always, but fairly often, if it's extreme enough, then you get a reversal. It's throughout this drop, and I know this is only the 5 minute, but for a while now, you can see as we've come down into this zone. So ever since here, we've started to see a big chunk of volume on basically everything. So yeah, there's buyers. Like the buyers have been waiting. They didn't want to buy up here. Look how low the volume was. It only spiked during the drops. So it's it. And this is why, when traders will tell you, say the chart tells you what's happening. This is just, these candles, and people say that, oh yeah, technical analysis is bullshit and it doesn't work. People think they can tell the future from reading candles on a chart. No, we're reading people. We're trying here to look at the behavior of all the representation in the market and say, I think I know what you are doing, and this is how I'm going to counter trade you. Because on the whole, if you're looking at the market, most people in the market are stupid, and therefore the market is kind of stupid. And that's what people say. The market is irrational. The market doesn't make sense because the participants within it are irrational. So you have to play into that irrationality and say that involves, that's, people will tell you about uptrends and downtrends and setting stop losses and taking profit and looking for swings. They don't tell you, especially with Bitcoin, pretty much, I put my buys where underneath or at swing lows. Or not at swing lows. I wait for the lip below, but I wait for people to get stopped out. And it's so reliable as a trading strategy because every single time the herd does the same stupid thing. And I say that as a previous or emerging member of the herd, hopefully, who used to do all of this same stupid thing and wondering why I kept getting stopped out. And so the trick with trading is to make big gains and small losses. And most traders make small gains and big losses. That's what most traders have, a 70-80% win ratio, but lose money. Whereas many good traders have a 20 to 30% win ratio and make money.
But it's like one of the reasons we talk about how you need your emotional control is one thing, right? Because that keeps you away from being irrational and just going for data-driven kind of responses to what happens in the market, and then understanding at least a degree of mass psychology and how people work and how reactive people can be. If you understand all these things, then you can look at the charts, you can see moves happening, you can make your assumptions to say, we might go down here, which is going to scare people because you understand how people think. And then once you get there, you're going to put your limit order somewhere just below that because, like you said, wick hunting or stop hunting. And that's when you start becoming more successful with this. I mean, I tend to front run some stuff rather than.
So do I.
Well, what I do usually is I front run. Let's say it's for Solana, for example. I'll put this on the chart here, but I was expecting this to go to either of these two lines, right? There's two red lines there. I'm not sure if you can see it, but I'll go in just a little bit further. I was expecting this dip to kind of end up, if it cracked this, to go through this and these two. Somewhere around here it would hit. Now I didn't know where it would hit, so I put 3 limit orders in. One at 137, which is just above this, just to front run this a little bit. That's a small one. Then I put a little bit bigger one on this line, 136.5. And then I put a really big one at 135, which is here, right? So even if it doesn't hit all of them, it hits some of them. And so that's how I front run some stuff like that. The same thing happened, here. I would front run this and I would try to put orders in with the wicks as well. And the same thing here, this fib level. Same thing here, this white line here at 118.7. I mean, I didn't have a buy order there because it was too fast. I didn't have time to. I think I actually had a position open already. But there, it bounced just above it. So if you don't front run, if you're being too greedy with these things, you're not going to get your buy orders hit. Yeah. So maybe you should front run and then go a little bit, you layer into it.
If you think where the liquidity is. So think of the liquidity as a wall of defense. If you want to get filled, you want to put your order before the wall. And if you don't want to get stopped out, you want to put your stop loss just behind the wall. Now, of course, the risk of the stop loss, putting your stop loss just behind the wall, is that when the wall comes crumbling down, you're right behind it and you get hit with an awful lot of wall. So
yeah,
that can it can work against you, where you end up getting basically stop hunted and you end up selling the bottom of a wick. Shit happens. Join the club. That's what you get for playing with stop losses. There's an argument to not having stop losses and using proper risk management instead, and not using leverage and all of those silly tools, because the market likes to stop hunt. So it's something that adds an element of risk, and the only way around it is really to just eyeball the chart 24 hours a day. And if you can't do that, you have to accept that sometimes the market is going to go against you. If anything, that is just evidence that you should be taking profit, especially if you are trading short-term trading. If you're in a profitable position, then take something out, because if the market turns against you, if your ideal stop loss is still below your cost basis, then consider say, if your ideal stop loss is 5% below and your trade is 10% up, then consider selling, say, a third. So that way you can actually set your stop loss at the ideal place, and you will only be at break even for your position. So you at least just get rid of the idea of loss. And if anybody trading has to have in their mind, I'm not going to lose money, above, I'm going to make money. If you're an investor, an investor's job is to make money. A trader's job is to not lose money, because if you don't lose money, then you will, via your wins, incrementally compound, and compounding, as we know, as we've explained many times, is huge. Blowing 20% of your account is a significant setback that might take several weeks of compounding 1%, 2%, 3% per week in order to make back. But the 1%, 2%, 3% per week is actually really bloody easy if you follow simple risk management, and the risk management will stop you suffering the minus 20%.
Okay. So before we end this, because we're going to end it soon, just briefly, because people are wondering if we're bottoming out here. I mean, let's take it from this first sign of bottoming, right? Massive lower wicks all over the place. This one is potentially going to become a really big wick. That is a sign of a bottom, right? We've bounced on important levels. All the candle closes are well above that, right? And this fib level right here, we've closed all above it. We've bounced a couple of times on top of it. Currently bouncing on it. The trend is broken. This is the kind of the trend that we had, sort of. That was actually quite good for a manually
for a wiggly line. Yeah.
For a wiggly line, yeah. We've broken that. Maybe this is it, right? Because let's see. If we're going into the 1 hourly, the new trend, damn it. The new trend is, and I'm not gonna put this very seriously though, but there we go. That's kind of good. Let's say it's this, right? Okay,
Yeah,
we've
pretty
created a
much.
channel for the first time here, and now what, right? So we need to break above this high, I would say. We've tried to break into the bottom of it here, but that's failed. We need to break above that so we get a higher higher high
Higher high.
over this. Once that's done, we can with at least some confidence say that we're going to carry on going. The golden pocket is right here. We've already bounced on that, even though that's in the wrong direction. But this is going to be one of the bigger tests, and it just so happens to kind of line up with this. And so, yeah, I'm kind of hopeful that this is bottoming out here, and I'm not expecting this to be much resistance. This potentially could be a double top, but beyond that, this is the real test for me.
Yeah.
And once we're in this territory, usually we tend to stay above it for a while. But yeah, this looks pretty good. And then, of course, good news with the ETF in Hong Kong and having really close. And so
it'd be interesting just to see the volume on this ETF, because you've got to bear in mind, consider how important this news is. There have been ETFs in other countries for quite some time. There are multiple ETFs, Bitcoin ETFs in multiple countries around the world. Yes, the Hong Kong Stock Exchange is a big stock exchange. It does matter. But similarly, the London Stock Exchange are considering launching. Big deal. Again.
Yeah.
America is still the daddy. America is where the money is. America is where the big liquidity is. So we do have to kind of bear in mind that, all of these other little ETFs that even British people, people in Hong Kong, people in Australia can all access the American ETFs. So you have to think, who is this ETF for particularly?
Yeah. Well, so I'll add to this though that if you're looking at continent volume, so where is all the volume coming from in Bitcoin, on spot Bitcoin? I think last time I checked, it was basically, I think it was, please correct me if I'm wrong about this, but I want to remember it being like 83% in Asia.
That would not surprise me.
Exactly. And so if we're going to open a native to that region ETF, then I would expect some pretty heavy cash flow from that. And over time, like we said before, the whole ETF thing, it might not mean that we're going to go to the moon straight away. Well, in the long run, what it means is we're taking supply off the market long term, and there is a constant bid. A constant bid meaning there's a lot of buy pressure constantly, and it's going to keep coming in. And in Asia, people are much more risk friendly than they are in some places like the United States, for example.
This is you have to remember, why do stocks always go up? Stocks always go up because every single month, I know I do, I put some money in it. I don't know what I'm buying. I've got no clue what the hell my pension is invested in. I just know I've got a portion that's in US equities that my pension fund manager manages for somehow, and I have no say in it. I've got no power in what this fund is. I just have an option to invest in US equities, and I know if I look at it, it'll have Apple, Microsoft, Google, Tesla, the usual suspects, Nvidia. So every single month, I just nonchalantly buy some Tesla and some Apple and some Google and some Microsoft. And so do hundreds of millions of other people every month, no matter what. So stocks go up over time. Now people can do the same thing for Bitcoin. And people will say about Bitcoin, it's $1 trillion asset class already. It's already huge by company standards. It's like, but it's not a company. It's a entire financial network. And its addressable market is not a company. So
Yeah, I'll respond to something real fast before we end this. Sorry, Rob, but
go for it.
we're at 45 minutes. If people stop buying stocks, it will drop. Yes, if there's no bid to hold the price up, then yes, it will drop.
Yes, and that is something that is a long-term problem for pretty much every government of a country that has an aging population, because say just as people retire, they suddenly stop accumulating assets and they now have to liquidate their assets to sell. And so just very quickly before we do end, you got to consider, say, the boomers were the largest population in history. They inherited or gained most of the wealth post World War II because they were the ones that had the most time to build it, and half of them have now retired. So over the next 10 years, the rest of them are going to retire, and at that point, the largest wealth transfer in history happens, in that the people who own all of the money, all of the assets, they have to dispose of them. They've got no choice but to dispose of them. And who are they going to sell them to? The Gen Xers and us. Well, I ain't got no money to buy them at the valuations that they think they're worth. So this is where we do have a big long-term problem in stocks. Is quite simply, we as a generation cannot afford to buy the shit that the boomers need to sell at the price that they need to sell it at, which means one of two things. Either we, millennials, need more money in order to afford to buy it at the current prices, or the cost of the stocks need to go down. So either wages go up, and what happens if wages go up? Prices go up, i.e. inflation, or stocks drop, prices drop, i.e. deflation. So there's two ways. At one point, we have to be able to afford to buy these stocks because there's nobody else to buy them. So there has to be this fair valuation mechanism coming over time. And my idea is it's going to come in the idea that we're going to get more money. And that's going to be very inflationary, but that's just the way it is. We're kind of going to go back to the 70s in that sense, maybe, hopefully.
Yeah.
But yeah, if nobody buys stocks, and the problem is we as a generation can't afford to buy stocks, and secondly, we're not really interested in buying stocks, and that is a huge headache for central banks and governments around the world.
Yep. We want Bitcoin. That's all I have to say.
And so therefore, as a very quick thing, if companies know that kids, Zoomers, millennials don't want to buy the company stocks, but they do want to buy Bitcoin, what will they be incentivized to do? It suddenly makes more sense for them to actually buy Bitcoin than it does for them to issue their own stock or do stock buybacks. Rather than spending 10 billion on buying back their own stock, buy 10 billion's worth of Bitcoin and put it on the balance sheet.
Yep.
That's how to make their stock more more interesting to us as investors. And that's what's going to happen. So get ready.
Yep. Get ready for that $1 billion Bitcoin. Sometime in the future, maybe. Okay, let's finish this off here. We got stuck here. You guys know the drill. Like, subscribe, all that jazz. Join the Discord. Follow us on TikTok. What else is there?
Especially TikTok. Like we've been nerfed on TikTok. Like please just like and share. Like just get us some interest on there, please, if you can.
Yeah, if you really want to help us out right now as a viewer and I don't want to say a fan, but a loyal follower, right? If you really want to help us out, get onto our TikTok account, like everything. As soon as it comes out, if you get the notification, go in, like it, leave a comment, whatever it is. It could be like thumbs up, whatever. Watch the whole video. It's usually not more than 30 seconds or maybe a minute. And that will kind of give us that algorithm thing where it spreads and all that stuff. And we're trying to just get to 1,000 followers there, because that means then I can go live basically every day and just do one of those kind of small hangout sessions for an hour or 30 minutes on TikTok, and that will help a lot with kind of bringing people into this thing and into the community and all that stuff. So that's kind of the goal there. Okay, cool. So we'll see you in Discord.
Yeah.
Bye.